Hello everybody, welcome back to another video by Jay Bowman. Today I'm going to be talking about Mod 7 on the Korg Kronos and comparing it to my Kodamo EssenceFM, primarily in terms of user interface for FM patching. I might also touch on the raw sound comparison of these two synths as well at the end if there's time. But what I want to do really is focus on the patching experience. I see a lot of comments online about the touchscreen in particular on the Kronos. In my view, it's not that bad. It's actually quite good, but what I want to do is compare how it is doing sound design, doing FM patching on the EssenceFM compared to the Kronos on the Mod 7. So that's what this video is going to be about. Now, let me start with the Kodamo EssenceFM Mark II up here. Hopefully you can see the screen clearly and also the physical controls. Now, the way the EssenceFM works, it's a very powerful standalone desktop FM synthesizer, dedicated FM synthesizer. It can be rack mounted as well. It's got 300 voices. The way those voices are used is in performances and patches, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video, just the same as I'm not going to be talking about combis, etc. on the Kronos. I'm just going to talk about, on a voice level, how the programming experience is. So what I've got here is an init patch. You've got the big touch screen there. Before I talk about that in detail, let's talk about the physical controls. So you've got these 6 colored knobs here. They're called direct access knobs. For any particular screen that you're on, there'll be color coding and numbers to indicate what the knobs control. So here we've got 6 operators, 6 knobs. The knobs control the level, the amplitude level of each of the operators, which is very useful. If I go into the operator itself, you can see down the side here, most of the parameters have a number and a color by them indicating which parameter is being controlled or changed by the knob. So let me just turn on the audio input on the Kronos so you can hear what's going on. So there, for example, knob 1, direct access knob 1 is modulating the waveform. Now, as well as the direct access knobs, we've got this stepped encoder, which is also very useful. We've got these increment and decrement buttons. So, and then finally, I'd say we got the touchscreen as well, which I'll just say now, I'll repeat it again, is the best touchscreen I've used. It's as good as the touchscreen on a mobile phone. You can change any parameter using the touchscreen as well. So what that means is it's very quick and easy to change any particular parameter using the most appropriate way of doing so. Now, in addition to the knobs and buttons for changing parameters, we've got undo and redo buttons. So when I'm sound designing, if I go down a particular route and decide I want to back out, I can do that. I don't know how many stages are stored in the memory, but I haven't reached a limit so far. The only thing you need to be careful about is you can't go out of this screen to another screen and then go back to this screen and try and undo and redo. I think that is wiped once you go out of the screen. So you can't undo and redo once you go out of the screen and come back to the voice editing. So as well as the undo and redo buttons, we've got the copy and paste buttons up here, dedicated copy and paste buttons, which is incredibly useful. If I make changes to this envelope, I want to copy it and paste it in other operators, I can do it like that. Hopefully you can see how quick and easy that is. You know, most FM synths have some way to copy and paste because it's so fundamental to using a synth with 6 different envelopes. but I've not encountered another FM synth where it's as quick and easy as that. And it doesn't just work for operators, obviously it works for particular values. For anything you like, you can copy and paste it basically, and that just makes the patching experience very useful. You also got this recall button, which I've already used, which, if you change something and you want to get back to the saved state of the voice, you can do that easily. Recall voice, yeah. And that works with the undo and redo buttons. So you're doing you're patching, you realize you didn't like what you did, you recall, go back to the voices it was saved, carry on doing some more patching, and you then realize actually you liked what you did before you went back to the saved voice. You can just undo until you get back to where you were. So these buttons work in combination, and the whole experience is incredibly smooth and easy. Now, thing about with the envelopes is they don't have to reset to 0. So you can end up with this situation where you have sounds which are ringing out or even getting louder and louder. So that's why it's useful in FM synthesis to have this panic button here, which is great. It immediately cuts out the sound. Very, very useful. And then you've got this button here, which lets you program in a sequence of notes, which you can use to play, to test sounds, even when you don't have a keyboard or anything, to trigger the voices. Now, to go into a little bit more detail, because these are going to come up when I talk about the Mod 7, I'll just say that it's a 6-operator algorithmic synth using the touchscreen. It's very easy to patch, to move operators around, or if you prefer, you can go into the algorithm library and choose a particular algorithm. It's up to you. I don't tend to work in the algorithmic way. I like to build up my patch using the blocks like that. We've got 2 LFOs per voice. LFO 1 is quite detailed. It's got a delay and attack setting. LFO 2 is a bit more basic. You've got a filter, which is quite an unusual type of filter. Let me just put some feedback. Some feedback on operator 1, and I'll send it through the filter. So it's quite unusual the way the filter works. You need to set it from dry to wet, so it's treated almost like an effect, and then you set up the envelope in the same way as the other envelopes. You can add resonance. I don't think it quite self-resonates. It's a 6 dB per octave filter, which is quite unusual. But it has this setting here to transition between low pass and high pass. So, and obviously it can be any state in between them, and all of these parameters are modulatable in the mod matrix. You have a really good number of modulation sources and a really amazing number of destinations as well. So you've got 8 slots in the mod matrix. Slots can modulate each other as well, which gets additional complexity. I'd say that when I'm doing my generative patching, I do run out of slots quite quickly, so it would be great to have more than 8 slots, but you can achieve quite a lot with 8 slots. And then let's talk about the amplitude envelopes. These are quite unusual as well. You don't have a fixed attack, decay, sustain, release portion. You just have up to 5 different segments that you can manipulate, have them how you want. You can set the sustain portion, which is shown by this blue line, on any of those segments. You can loop between any of those segments as well. So it's, the other thing I'd say is you can have them free running. So you can use them as use them as LFOs as well. So yeah, I'm sure there's lots of details I'm forgetting, but what I would say overall, as I've hopefully shown here, is that it's a dedicated FM synthesizer, dedicated hardware. It's designed for patching very quickly, and I'd say it's the smoothest FM patching experience I've come across. So that's the Essence FM. Let's switch to talking about the Mod 7 on the Kronos. So I'm going to come out of the sequencer mode. I'm going to go to an init patch on the Mod 7. So this is the main patching screen that we're looking at here. Hopefully you can see it reasonably clearly. I'll just turn the brightness down a little bit. Now, what I want is for you to be able to see the screen as well as the physical controls. There are more physical controls than I'm showing on this screen, but I've focused on the ones which are most useful for FM programming. So, just like the Essence FM, the Kronos has a touchscreen, obviously. I've been through this before. It's not quite as good as the Essence FM touchscreen, but it is very usable. I just have to use my fingernail and I can patch pretty freely. Just like on the Essence FM, if I want to change a value, so here we're looking at the main mix level 50, I can click and drag with my finger on the touchscreen if I want. Or I can use this stepped encoder here, just like on the Essence FM. Now, while we don't have the dedicated knobs per se, although I will come back to that in a minute, we do have this value slider, which is great for making big changes quickly. And we also have this numeric keypad. So there I was trying to get back to 50, and I was either going to struggle with the value knob, trying to get it exactly on 50 to satisfy my OCD tendencies. But there's no need to do that because I can just type 50, enter, and then it's in. So if you know a specific value, then the keypad is great for that. And after you've used the keypad for a while, you will start to wonder why more synths don't have that. The keypad is an advantage of the Kronos over the Essence FM. Now, we've spoken about the touchscreen and the way of inputting values. Mod 7, if I wanted to summarize it, is deeper. It's got more potential than the Essence FM. I've spoken about some of the other abilities it has, like the PCM or sample input. It's got dedicated noise input, which the Essence FM doesn't have, audio input. It's the way the user interface works is you have tabs along the bottom. You click into a tab, you get a selection of other tabs. Within these tabs is a menu. So some people will like that, some people won't. I think it's probably the best way of setting out what is quite a complex synthesizer in a way which people can get their head around. What I did there is I just clicked the compare button. So that is, compare button on the Kronos is like the recall button on the Essence FM. Unfortunately, there's no copy and paste. There's no undo and redo buttons, I should say, like on the Essence FM. There's no copy and paste buttons either. There are these increment and decrement buttons though. So it's a very similar interface in terms of touchscreen, increment, decrement buttons, value encoder. You've also got a value slider here and a touchpad. You don't have the dedicated knobs. Now, it's hard to get into too much detail here beyond this because the experience is very different in patching the Mod 7 and the Essence FM. As I say, the Essence FM is very smooth, very streamlined. Mod 7 is a bit more involved, a bit more complex. And I can talk about that or give an illustration at the same time as talking about the actual sound difference between the synths. Now, I've said in my previous videos, I think Mod 7 sounds fine. It's probably not my favorite sounding FM synth. And a lot of that judgment is subjective, but there are some objective features we can look to in the synth. So let me hop back quickly to the Essence FM and show you a 2-operator stack, a 2-operator suite test, which is my go-to when I'm comparing FM synths against each other. This is the equivalent in FM of a filter suite for an analog synth. So here I've set up the 2-operator stack. We have operator 2, which is the modulator going straight into operator 1. I'm going to turn off velocity sensitivity for both operators. I'm going to, you'll see that they're both at maximum volume. There's no feedback. I'm going to go into the amplitude. Now I'm going to set up the envelope so it's linear. You can either choose whether the envelope's shapes are exponential or linear. I've gone for linear. I only want a straight up and down envelope. It's very straightforward. I want about 7 seconds up and 7 seconds down. Now the Essence FM is great in this way because it shows me the time value for each segment, and it also shows the overall time value of the envelope. So that is a big advantage over a lot of other synths. So there we have segment 1 was 7 seconds, segment 2 is 7 seconds, total length 14.1 seconds. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that is a simple 2-operator sweep test on the Essence FM. Let's hear how that sounds. Now, it's no surprise for people who watch my previous videos to learn that that is more modulation than you can get from any other FM synth I've tested, from one operator going into another. And that in itself gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of sound design, because sometimes you want to get a lot of modulation. Here you can do it very simply, straightforwardly from one operator into another. You don't have to do any hacks or workarounds. I mean, most of the time, if you're trying to be musical, you're not going to have maximum FM modulation, because at the top, obviously, it gets pretty gnarly. Let's do the equivalent exercise on the Mod 7. This will be a good way of showing you the patching experience, and I can talk about a couple of features and also the sound as well. So the output of operator 2 needs to go into operator 1. Operator 1's output is already normal to an output, so that's fine. I should mention here that the Mod 7 is a matrix synth essentially, rather than algorithmic synth, so it's more flexible than the Essence FM. Each operator can be both a modulator and a carrier, so you can hear it as well as using it to modulate other things, whereas in the Essence FM it's either one or the other. So I need to go now into the envelope generators. So envelope 1, I want to be a straightforward organ type envelope, so I'm going to do that. Envelope 2, I want to be the straight up and down, or the triangle envelope essentially, so I'm going to set the break and sustain portions at 0. Now, disadvantage of the Mod 7 is it doesn't tell you in seconds how long each of these values is. So I think from doing this before, about 85 is equivalent to 7 seconds. So yeah, that's a disadvantage of the Mod 7 over the Essence FM. An advantage is that you can choose for each segment whether it's linear, whether the envelope is linear or curved, and you can choose the degree of the curve. Now that is an advantage of the Mod 7 over the Essence FM. So we've got, hopefully, the equivalent 2-operator sweep test for the Mod 7. Let's hear how that sounds. Let's just compare that again to the Essence FM. I should have the oscilloscope really to illustrate this, but you can probably hear from that you're getting far more FM effect on the Essence FM than you are on the Mod 7. Now, there are workarounds. As I say, this is the general feature I've found with the Mod 7. Essence FM, very quick and easy to patch. Mod 7, more involved. You've got more potential, more possibilities, but it just takes a bit more fiddling with. So each output can go to as many inputs as you like. Each input can only receive one input. So the output of the operator 2 could go to the input of, or the two inputs of operator 1. So then we've doubled the amount of FM modulation. So that's getting us closer to the Essence FM result, but it's a little bit more fiddly. You've also got these three mixers here. Now, if I wanted to go overboard, what I can do is cascade the modulation from the output of operator 2 into the input of operator 1. So here I've multiplied it many, many times. And this is going to overload the input of operator 1. So I think you can see there that with a bit of tweaking, you can in fact push Mod 7 further than the Essence FM. It just takes a bit more time and complexity, and it's going to be messier. So what I want to do finally, just to finish this video off before it gets too long, is just compare a very basic two operator patch on the Essence FM, which is this simple two operator FM bass patch. Let me turn off the effects first, because I can hear there's some chorus there. Yeah, so let's have a look at this patch. So we've got two operator stack. There is actually a third operator there, but it's muted. So operator 2 going into operator 1. Operator 2 is at a ratio of 1/2. Some velocity. And we've also got some vibrato, as you can probably tell. Yeah, there's a bit of vibrato on both the operators. So that is the Essence FM patch, and I think it's quite an effective patch. Let's listen to the equivalent, which I've made on the Mod 7. I think they sound quite similar, actually. Back to the Essence FM. So yeah, I think they're pretty similar, but not identical. I find with FM synths, there's so many variables that even for a simple patch like this, you can't get them quite identical. One of the things I found is that I don't quite like the envelopes on the Mod 7 as much as the Essence FM. It's quite a subtle thing, but I can hear it in the attack phase, even though that's very short of the modulation, and in the release phase. Compared to the Essence FM. I just prefer the envelopes, and however much I tweak them, I just can't get them quite to sound as good as the Essence FM. One thing I have noticed though is if I play the Mod 7 patch higher up the keyboard, it actually sounds okay. Whereas if I do the same for the EssenceFM, I feel like I'm hearing more aliasing on the EssenceFM and some nastiness, which I suspect is actually something I've got going on in the patch. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but let's just delete all of the mod slots just to make sure there's nothing else that's causing that sound. No, that is, I don't know what's causing that, but anyway, when you play it higher up the keyboard, I prefer the Mod 7 sound. I think other than that, I think there is just something about the EssenceFM envelopes which they just sound nicer. So the EssenceFM. Back to the Mod 7. Okay, it's quite close. I can see how people might prefer one to the other. They're undoubtedly different though, and that's interesting even for such a simple sound as this, using just two operators. I can't get them 100% even for these two modern, clean sounding software FM synths essentially. So this has been a very brief video. I just wanted to go over the patching experience for the two synths. I could go into far more detail, but I'm not sure that anyone particularly wants to watch that video. To summarize, I think the EssenceFM patching experience is smoother, it's quicker. The Mod 7 is more detailed, you've got more scope for modulation and changes. And then in terms of the sound, I do think the EssenceFM has some advantages. I think the envelopes sound better. I think it's quicker and easier to get a huge amount of modulation from one operator into another. But again, with the Mod 7, with some workarounds, you can actually expand the potential to go beyond the EssenceFM. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have made it this far, please do give me a like and a subscribe. And I will catch you on the next video. Goodbye.